We start by general agriculture studies, being engineer, and then we decided after our studies, our school, to come in Anjou, in this region, to join a small company which was running some pear trees.
Yes.
So we ran 6 hectares of pear trees and 6 hectares of Savagnier, 6 hectares of Anjou wines. And that's the beginning. We started in 1999.
So also, just to talk about the history of this area, Savagnier in particular. In the past, this was Côte or Côte de la Loire.
Yes, that's it.
And eventually in 1950 or something like that, it became its own appellation. Can you tell me a little bit about how that happened and why?
After the Second World War, the winemakers of this region were part of the appellation Coteaux de la Loire, which is a regional appellation.
Right.
And they wanted to, well, they saw that there is a specificity of the wine in Savagnier, and they asked the INAO, the French administrative organization, to be recognized as a small village and to be able to write Savagnier on the label, and not only Coteaux de la Loire.
It was a good idea because now it is very well recognized, right? I would say even more than the general appellation for the Loire.
Yes, there is, because of course there is a specificity of the wines coming from our region, with the bitterness, with the powerful, the complexity that you cannot find in other wines from the region. So Anjou region is located on the northwest part of France, alongside the Loire Valley. We are located at 1 hour and a half, 1 hour and a quarter from the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean.
So you have an influence.
We have the influence of the Atlantic Ocean, so we could say we have a mild climate.
Right.
But well, it depends. We can have till 38 degrees Celsius during July, but we have. It's very rare to get some frost during the winter.
Yes. And
this is the first point.
Okay.
And the other point is we are not very far from the Loire River. It's 50 meters from where we are located now.
Exactly, yes.
And we don't see it because it's behind the trees, but there is an influence of this river, and that's why we can produce some sweet wines, because it helps to develop the botrytis.
When it comes to soils, I already heard about the black and the white Anjou, and you're in the black, but right at the border with the white.
You're right. We are not very far from the white side. And what is the white side? It's the Parisian basin, made of chalk, and the black part is the Brittany Mountains, made of schist and sandstone.
Okay.
So like here, the schist is here, and this is the result of the pressure made by the Parisian basin that pushed on the Brittany Mountains, and we are at the location of this, of where happened this pressure.
I assume that it depends very much whether you have a lot of sandstone sand on top of the schist, or you just get the schist right underneath.
So yeah, thank you for this question, because this is very important. The sand we've got in Savagnier is not coming from an ocean, from the ocean or from the Loire Valley. It's coming from wind, and this is the specificity of Savagnier.
Okay.
You don't find this wind, this sand on the other bank of the Loire.
Okay.
You don't find it after our appellation. It's a real specificity because this rock is quite hard, and it's not like chalk. The roots cannot go very deep. The vines can suffer from drought rapidly, and when it's very dry during the summer, it reduces a lot the yields. Cover crops in our region, because soils are very poor, cover crops can enter in competition with our vines. I agree with that. But in the same way, cover crops we can make that cover crops don't enter in competition with our vineyard, with our vines.
And how you do that?
And the solution is to regenerate the soil. And what does it mean? It's to reintroduce the chain of microorganisms which should be present in our soil,
okay,
to reveal the fertility of the soil, and we call it the chain of prey and predators,
okay,
because the bacteria are eaten by the protozoa, by the good nematodes.
Mm-hmm.
The nematodes are eaten by the microarthropods, mm-hmm, and the fungi also are eaten by the microarthropods, and those things help to release in the soil the nutrients which will be free for the plant.
So you told me about a particular example with the bacteria and the next predators when it comes to carbon and nitrogen, right?
That's it.
Can you explain that?
Okay, so if you think that a bacteria, for example, has got his body is composed of carbon and nitrogen, and this is making a ratio of 5 to 1, 5 carbon for 1 nitrogen. And the predator of the bacteria is a protozoa, and a protozoa, his body is 30 carbon for 1 nitrogen.
Okay.
So it means that to be fed,
yeah, to be satisfied,
a protozoa needs 5 to 6
yeah,
bacteria. But 5 to 6 bacteria for carbon.
Yeah.
But there is too many nitrogen.
Yeah.
So it's something like 6 nitrogen,
okay,
for the protozoa. So this nitrogen goes into the poop, and so goes into the soil, and this nitrogen is free for the plant.
Yeah.
I would say free of charge.
Right, absolutely. And the same thing happens with other elements.
Zinc, manganese, molybdenum, potassium, okay, and so on. In Savonier, it's not authorized to produce sparkling wines. We can produce sparkling wines, but it's not authorized to write sparkling wines from Savonier. Okay. It's Crémant de Loire.
Crémant de Loire, okay.
So we don't produce sparkling wines, mm-hmm, and I'm focused on dry, as I told you, and we pay attention to the maturity of the berries. You know, here you have some berries which are dry.
Yes.
And the concentration of the sugar is quite high in these berries. On this one, it's quite green and yellow. This is more yellow, this is more green, this is greener.
Yeah.
I prefer harvesting green grapes right now, because the acidity is quite high. With Chenin Blanc not on schist slates, but on
limestone.
Mm-hmm. The berries will be much bigger.
Okay. Okay.
This is the explanation is only because of the soil. The soil is quite poor. It's sandy, okay, and schist. This soil does not retain the water, right, during the drought period. Okay. So we have small berries. Small berries means also more concentration. We hope so.
Or kinds of things. Yeah.
Well, the ratio between the dry matter and the juice is more towards the dry matter.
Okay. Well, now we are in your elaboration room that is packed of many different things, including the stainless steel vessels that you use for your Alliance wine, because it only ferments and ages in stainless steel, and there's a reason for that, right?
So Alliance, first of all, it's a signification of what we want to do with nature. We want to do alliance with nature, we want to do alliance with our employee, and that's why we use this term. And this is also, we take also some juices from every plot, and also from young vines. We take from every plot the lightest juices after the press. Right. And we do a simple vinification in these big tanks.
Okay, and that is to preserve fruit aromas,
yes,
crisp acidity.
There's not a huge concentration on those juices. So we are focused on the crispy style of this wine, and the fruity style also. It's a very good wine for appetizers.
Yeah, great. I'm sure about that. We'll taste it later. Then you have the other cuvées, for example, Ginette and the Belle Sauvage, that you ferment and age in barrels and in sandstone jars. That we're gonna maybe look into.
Please,
that
let's go.
In the other room. Let's go. Good. Well, now we are in this room where you have the barrels, large barrels, and the sandstone jars, and you ferment and you age the cuvées.
Yes, the target is to, we choose the more concentrated juices after the press time. We start the fermentation in tank, but at before mid fermentation, we fill the barrels to prolong the fermentation in barrels. It's a tiny room, a tiny place where there is an exchange between the wood and the juice, and also the air from outside and the juice, and also the lees, which are at the bottom, which will be at the bottom during the age time.
Right. Do you do batonnage?
We don't do any batonnage. No. I prefer having a sharp wine than a large wine.
I understand. And then it goes from the barrel into the jars, and those are sandstone jars.
Yes. For certain cuvées, we decide to prolong the aging into sandstone jar, and the shape of the jar is very important. It's vertical. It's not an egg, because if you work with an egg, the lees turn constantly, and you build a large wine.
Yeah.
I prefer keep working on sharp wines, and we have a long aging during 2 years.